Welcome to my channel. I'm Rin, and this channel is all about crafting and making and just generally trying new things. So today I'm gonna try something, I guess, a little experimental. I want to do a galaxy painting. You may have seen some of these online. There's a lot of videos, tutorials on how to make them, and you kind of use different colors and smudge it around, and then little flecks of white paint. And I'll put up an example, kind of what I'm talking about. But the unusual thing I want to do about that is I want to do it on this lamp. This little lampshade. I got this little lamp to add a little something to my background, and I really like the bottom part, very cute, the little stars, but I really feel like it needs a little something. It needs more. It needs to be just cooler, 20% cooler. Okay. Need to not quote My Little Pony. And now I've told you that what that was, because you're probably going, what is she talking about? But anyway, moving on. Yes, I want to give this lampshade a galaxy paint job. So that's what we're going to work on today. So now I'm going to go to me actually working on painting it, and then you get to see how that went. Okay, so here we have my supplies. We've got our paint there. That's just some stuff I picked up at Michael's. We also have a blue and a purple, and then I also picked up a teal. So I know it's not really a traditional color that goes into the galaxy painting, and of course our little brush there, which I picked up all these supplies at Michael's, so it's a fairly inexpensive acrylic paint. I did realize I got a multi-surface on one that was satin and the others were matte, but it didn't seem to really make that much of a difference, so all right, so now we're bringing in our lampshade, and the inside of it is plastic, so I didn't have to worry about the paint bleeding through the fabric because it is plastic inside. But it was a fabric over top of the plastic, and it did have a bit of a texture to it, which did make it a little difficult to paint, as you will probably see in a minute. So I just kind of blobbed the paint on there, and for a while I was adding the blue and the purple in, but it just didn't seem to really be worth it after a while because I just had to paint it so much to get the good coverage that it just I didn't bother. But yeah, you can see it really takes a lot of paint, more than you would think, honestly. So I'm glad I got the bigger bottle of the black to give me a good base. Yeah, so now, yeah, you can see it was a lot of paint. So I didn't record painting all of this. So now we're going to skip over to the base coat being done. So you can kind of see it on the inside. Not that it really matters, but I tried to get a fairly even coating. There was still a few spots where it wasn't totally covered, but I tried my best, and I did go back and work on those spots a little bit after filming this. Okay, now we're getting into the good stuff. This is where I'm actually putting the color over top. Now, when I was doing this first layer, I was also putting splotches of black paint in with the colors because I felt like I needed to mute them, but I realized after a while of painting that I really didn't need to do that. Honestly, I did a few passes over this, and at first I thought maybe the colors were too bright, but I think after a while I realized that I could have even gotten brighter colors probably, because of course I forgot. It's like, oh yes, you paint something and when it dries it usually gets darker. So there was a lot of trial and error in this. I think for the most part it went pretty well, but it was really a lot of just kind of figuring it out. I had these nice little sponge brushes to use to give a good texture, but you could really very easily just use some cut up sponges that you can get at the store and just use that. You don't need any specialized equipment to do this sort of thing. My arm did get really, really tired because, oh my God, it was just all the dabbing and plus trying to hold the lampshade up with my other arm because since you're painting a round object, you can't let the other side lay on the paper. Yeah, I feel like I put too much black again in here. It just muted the colors way too much. I ended up going back over it and putting a lot more color down uh, after it dried and realized it was just way, way too dark. So that would be the thing I would say. You're going to need more paint than you think you need, like a lot more. And just if you don't like it, just go back over it after it's dry. Try again, add some more colors. Because if it gets too bright and you feel like it doesn't look right, you can always add a little bit of black back in and tone it down. I feel like this is a really good project to just kind of experiment with and play with colors and see if you can get a finish that you like. I think sometimes I was dabbing it so much to try to get it to look more natural texture that it really spread the color out and really made it darker and harder to see. So I don't know if it would have been better to maybe do a dark gray on the background instead of a black. That might have helped the colors to not look so dark and fade so much. That's something to keep in mind. But I've seen a lot of people, they're usually doing it on canvases, so they don't usually put down a coat. I feel like if I hadn't put that down, I don't know, I don't think I would have liked it as much. There would have been so much white showing through. I would have had a really tough time getting everything covered. But I don't know, that could have looked better. I might have liked that better. I don't know. Maybe the little bits of light coming through would have been interesting. And I keep adding black paint. Would you stop? I just want to go back and tell myself, no, don't. You're just making more work for yourself. Oh, it's always just kind of a learning process when you're trying out something new that you don't really have any clue what you're doing. Uh, Man, I wish I could have painted it this fast. It really took me way longer than this to do. That's for sure. And like I said, I went and ended up going back and adding in a lot more colors because I also felt like I didn't blend the colors together enough. I feel like I was trying to leave more black space, but it just really didn't look good. It just looked like these weird, separate bars of color, which I just didn't feel like fit the aesthetic that I just, I didn't like. So I ended up going back in, adding more colors, trying to like blend the edges together. Because you see, I left like a lot of space between the purple and the blue, and I just really I didn't like how that looked when I went back to it after it dried. Yeah, I'm like, oh, a little more here, a little more there. Yeah, I ended up going back in and adding a lot more. See, I started adding in a little more color and realizing that I needed to like blend it together better. So I kind of started doing that and it started looking better. I feel like things flowed better. Yeah, this is where I started putting a little more color in there, just trying to brighten it up, make it pop a little bit more. But yeah, it needed a lot more blending between the colors and less black space. At least that's the way I like how it looked. So this was after I got finished adding more in. And I think I might have even gone back in and blended the colors a little more after this. I can't. But yeah, you can see them better. There's more distinct colors. But yeah, I do think I added some more paint in after this, but I didn't film that. Oh yeah, let's show it again. You didn't see it enough. See it some more. Okay, so this part is really where I wanted to try to give it that galaxy star fleck look. And at first, I just had the paint out of the bottle and really just took me a few minutes of frustration and splotchy, like too big splotchiness to realize that paint was too thick. Just way too thick. I needed to thin that down because it really wasn't doing what I wanted to do. No, yeah, that's gonna work. I'm gonna take that off. Okay, now here, this time it was going a lot better. So I watered the paint down to give it a much better, like, flicking consistency. I don't know what you would call that, but just to add those little specks of stars and give it that signature galaxy look to the colors. So, yeah, don't mind my Pokemon socks. Okay, so here is the finished lampshade after I put some sealant on it. I didn't record that because I was doing it in the garage and there was the smell, and yeah, you don't want to see that. But I put some sealant on to protect the paint. Also, excuse the creepy bins of dolls. That's a whole other craft. And yeah, I really liked how it turned out. I could have maybe put a little more of the white flecks on it, but I didn't want to overpower the colors in it either. But it's just kind of like figuring out that balance is a little tricky. And this is my first time trying out this method of painting. So yeah, here's what it looks like with the light on. You can see that, really you get any light through the lampshade, obviously, because we painted it so thoroughly. But I like the colors that it adds to it, and there's the light in the bottom that adds a lot of light. So that was my process of making this lamp. It was a bit of a learning process. I was kind of figuring things out as I went. Maybe I should have watched more videos on doing it, but also I was doing it on kind of a weird surface, not a canvas like a lot of people do, so who knows. Yeah, but I like how it turned out. It's kind of subtle. I feel like I could have almost used brighter paints, and maybe I will if I do another project like this, but I do like it. I think it's nice. You can see that it kind of blocks all the light, so it's not as useful in that way, except for there's a little, a few places where I didn't get the paint perfectly. But here, come here, come here. Let me tell you something. Art is not about perfection. At least it shouldn't be. Art should be accessible. Art should be something that everybody can do and try and just create. It doesn't have to, there shouldn't be the gatekeeping on it that some people, I guess, I don't know if it's really there, if people just feel like it's there, but just get out, make stuff, create things, get dirty, try things. If you don't like it, fine, but you don't know until you try it. Like the time I tried pate. I didn't like it, but I didn't know that until I tried it. Liver's not my thing. But yeah, I think it will be a fun addition because I felt like it needed some more color. I really liked the bottom part of this lamp with all of the little stars and how it has a light in there, which I'm thinking it might be fun to get a different colored light if I can find that sort of thing, since it is one of those small bulbs. I don't know if I'd be able to find that, but who knows. I would also say on a safety standpoint, this has an LED bulb in it, so they don't get very hot. If you're doing it on something that maybe is a regular, like, old style bulb, I maybe look up and see, because you don't want to create anything that's going to be like a fire hazard or anything like that. I don't really know, so you probably want to do a little more research. But I maybe this gave you some confidence to try and update or upcycle or whatever the fancy term is for it, some things that you have laying around. Because, you know, you may have just a lamp that you think is kind of boring and you could try something on it. You know, maybe not this, but maybe something else that you like. But now I have this fancy lamp for my background. So fancy. I think that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it inspired you to try maybe a galaxy painting of your own, or just to look up other types of painting that's sort of beginner friendly. But I feel like there's a lot of forgiveness in this because you can just kind of keep tweaking it until you get it to where you want it. And there's no set, it has to look a certain way. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you're new to my channel, maybe subscribe so you come back and see what else I'm doing, because I'm trying to try out a lot of different things and just sort of experiment with what I can manage to do with what skills I have. Other than that, I hope I'll see you in my next video.